Hello, everybody. Happy Lionsgate, and welcome to my amazing guest today, Cori. Cori, say hi to all of the Facebook land. Okay, I can see on Facebook that it's just showing speaker view, but that's okay because when you talk, I think it will come up. So you can't see her, but Cori is here in the Zoom room with me, and she has kindly joined me so that we can ask spirit some questions, because some of you may know, for the last few days we've been doing a conscious channeling challenge. Easy for me to say. We've been doing a conscious channeling challenge, and for me, channeling really has changed so much for me. It's helped me get more confident in my work. It's helped me understand more about my purpose in my life. It's helped me with my well-being. It's helped me create more intentional action. And it's really helped me break through barriers. And we were just talking off recording, and both of us are the same. We kind of like this pressure. We grow under pressure, and like a crystal, we grow under pressure. And I've not done this in this way before. I have done this kind of practice before, but it has been more in development groups, or as it's come through during meditations or during one-to-one client sessions. So this is a bit new and different for me. And the message that I received from Spirit at the beginning of the week when I was channeling for the group was, as I keep pushing my boundaries and stretching my boundaries, this is where my growth is coming. So when Cori said, let's put it on Facebook Live, I was like, okay, let's do it. So here we are. So this is how it's going to work. I am going to spend a few minutes, or a minute or so, getting into my channel state. I'll set the scene, I'll create the safe space, and something may or may not come through at that point, and then Cori, it's over to you to ask any questions. So the questions haven't been preordained, is that the word? Although I gave Cori the questions that came through from the Soul Space group and the Telegram group. So they're there, so you might hear your question if you did that. We're not checking this on Facebook, but if you do have any questions that you want to ask Spirit, you are welcome to put them in there, and maybe this will become a regular feature. Who knows? Cori's I didn't sign up for that.
No, it sounds really exciting. I'm just opening up Facebook. I'm looking for you because if the questions come up, it would be nice for me to be able to see them, wouldn't it?
It would. Well, I will have my eyes closed. So my channel is I'm going to be bringing through one of my wisdom guides. When I've worked with him before, he's come through beautifully, easily, and he's got a really lovely personality. But I'm open to the guidance that is here for us today on this Lionsgate, for the purposes of Cori and I, and also, of course, for everyone that's watching, to help inspire you and to help you, with your growth and with your evolution, with your paradigm shifts, with your growth. So, Cori, anything you want to say or do before I...
Yeah, I do actually. I feel really grateful to be here. I'm a complete novice to this. So I'm just going to ask the most genuine questions I can, trying to encompass what everyone said. And if you do have questions as we go along, then absolutely feel free to put them in the chat, and I will try and keep an eye on that while also listening very attentively to what's going on, to what's being channeled. Sorry, I'm just looking at my phone. I can see myself.
You can see yourself. It's always scary, isn't it? Man, I'm here.
Yeah, here we are. Right. And I've got to put myself on mute here. Otherwise, I hear two of me.
Yes.
Sign of a novice, right? but I am super, super excited. And I have a question for you before we start. How do I address spirit through you? When I'm asking the question, do I say, hey, spirit, or do I say, hey, George? Or I'm not making light of it. I'm just
Hey,
genuinely.
George. I don't know. I've never asked him what I experience it as a him, but I think in reality it's more of a them.
Mhm.
Um, you can ask him that if you want. When we're in channel, but spirit guide is fine.
Cool.
But yeah, you're welcome to ask him that. So if you're watching live, do let us know, do comment. It will really shift and help the algorithm. It will really help the energy. You know, we are working with energy here. If you want to share it to anybody, tag anyone who you think might enjoy this, please do share it on your walls. And if anyone who is in the channeling group wants to share it in the Telegram channel for everybody, then please go ahead and do that, because I've not had the opportunity. Okay. So as I prepare my energy and I create this sacred space, like a circle all around us, the two of us here and everybody listening and watching across times, across dimensions, across space, I invite in the energy of Mother Gaia to hold us and to keep us safe and grounded and secure. And I open up to my highest wisdom and my highest self, and to the highest wisdom that's available to me right now in this universe. And for now, I surrender my ego. I surrender my little me, and I invite in the power and the strength of the universe to come through, to bring through messages of love, to bring through messages of wisdom and guidance, so that it may uplift and it may inspire. And so we are ready for your beautiful questions. And before we begin, I would just like to say a huge thank you to everybody who has joined and to our channel here for opening up this space on this very beautiful and very powerful day here on Earth. I welcome you all. And Cori, this is over to you.
So, spirit,
Hello.
I want to know, what are we here for? What is our purpose on Earth?
I love that you've come and you've started with the big question, because quite often when people come through and have this opportunity, it's as if the world goes blank and the mind goes blank, and we have all of these questions, and sometimes they are not even able to articulate them. And here you are starting with, what is purpose and why are we here? Well, we are here for the main reason of growth, of evolution, of strength, of love, and a companionship. Each one of you humans here on Earth have chosen to be here. And it has been through the growth of you as a soul and the growth of the community and the collective of souls that has enabled, in fact, for Earth to become a thing that you may call Earth School. Because this dimension that you live in is certainly not the easiest ones of the dimensions that are available to souls through our and your incarnations and through our growth opportunities. And this one on Earth is in particular to be able to understand everything that you are not, so that you can understand from that space everything that you are. Now, many of this, especially in this time, because our purpose, your purposes have changed through the decades and the centuries in some way, in some guises. And for now, this is part of this understanding of finding who you truly are, despite being evidenced with everything that you are not. Your purpose here is to remember who you are so that your soul continues to evolve and continues to grow, so that you become more like the source that made you. You already are like the source that made you, you understand, yet these aspects have not been activated. They have been, you might call dismembered, and your job, your purpose is to remember these aspects so that you may grow and become more whole and go back to where we all began. Does this answer your question?
It answers my question and raises some other questions, actually. So the first one is, you talked about most quickly activate who we really are. And I'm wondering, what is the most expedient, what is the quickest, most direct route to being able to do that?
This is a very good question, because like most of you humans, you want to have the results fast, and actually much of this is in the journey, because here, when you are outside of Earth School, everything is very quick, everything is very rapid, and in fact you can think of something and experience it almost straight away in your human terms, because times here does not exist in the same way it does for you. Whereas in human form, time has slowed down. And so things are different. And part of the experience of being human and incarnating, for now, you're 80, 90, 100, and even for some of you, 120 years here on Earth, is part of this journey. However, what is the quickest way? The quickest way is, in fact, stopping. The quickest way is, in fact, the gap, the space, the pause, because in that gap, that space, that pause contains the truth of who you are. And should you not just do this for a moment in time, you will experience and know exactly who you are.
So you're saying it's in the gap, in the pauses, in the space, that we find out who we really are, rather than in the action? Is that correct?
The truth of who you are is always there. There is nothing really that you need to do. However, your mission and your purpose, of which everyone is individual, everybody has their own individual path in which they are walking per incarnation, and that will change every time you come down and decide to incarnate again. And so, yes, of course, the action is there and is important. Yet it is in the space that lies the truth of this, what you call source, or some of you call God, or some of you call light, that you will find it. And should you simply activate that as you are taking whichever action you are drawn to move on, you will discover the truth of who you are in those moments.
Thank you. So you talked about, just a moment ago, you mentioned about incarnating again, and previously in our conversation, you talked about dimensions. So when you say incarnate again, are you referring specifically to Earth, or could that be incarnate in other places or other ways? Or and what do you mean by other dimensions? I realize it's a long question, but
So
basically incarnate where and dimensions, which
I will
explain.
start with the first question of incarnation on Earth, because many of you right now are choosing, many of us right now are choosing to incarnate on Earth, because even though it seems like a slow slog, this is the most rapid route towards our realization of self, of coming back to source, of our soul's growth. And so many of us are choosing to come here again and again and again in order to discover all of the things that we are not, so that we can discover the things that we are. So for many humans, it is the earth incarnation that is important. And it's for many of those here on earth, especially those listening to this broadcast, of which the majority of those who are listening now and that will be listening in the what you call the future, are those who have lived in other worlds, universes, dimensions, yet your focus is to bring this activation, this soul, this essence of you into earth. And so you are choosing to spend the majority of your lifetimes here on earth. This is a choice that you have made. Many of you have certainly lived in other dimensions and in other realities, and you know of some of these. You may have heard of previous existences and civilizations, which some of them may have been in the physical space of Earth, but they were very different in frequency to Earth. And as you are all ascending and growing and rapidly accelerating in your earth lives, you are beginning to touch the other incarnations that you have had. And so you are remembering some of the technologies, some of the practices, some of the knowings, some of the values that you had in these other lives. Now, our life as a soul is not limited to earth, yet the incarnations from your, you could call your space lives, the lives in other star worlds that you may understand, are not as relevant for most of you in this time. And for many people, in fact, it becomes as a distraction to your path here on earth. And we do understand the beauty and the presence and the essence of your star lives and how they can be so tempting. And yes, some of you experience those in your dreams and through your journeys, and there can feel like there is a calling home. But we would like to say to all of you who are listening to this broadcast now or whenever you should find it, that if you are here on earth, you are meant to be here on earth. This is the right space and the right place for you. And we encourage you to enjoy your time and to make the most of your time. And when you remember and you touch those moments of perception of these other realities of which you may have known and which indeed you may still exist in some space or fractal of time, that you use that to bring down the frequency that you are touching into this earth, rather than trying to escape into that frequency. This is the most important thing that you can do. And this is the most useful application of that connection.
Right. So rather than question it, enjoy it, make the most of it, and you chose it. Is that correct?
Oh, you may question it, and we encourage the contemplations and the questions, because the more you ask yourself, why am I here? What has brought me here? What is the other realities and the dimensions? What are the possibilities out there? Is it possible, as you are hearing now, to connect in with other dimensions and systems and realities? Well, the more it helps you understand who you truly are. It is the big questions that can often take you out of the distractions of time and of human existence that can help you get more into your reality. So yes, do question, but do not long for the star lifetimes that you may have experienced and you may certainly have in the future, because they will come. And when they come, there will be many of you longing for Earth too, because there is so much beauty and progress and depth that you experience here on Earth that is just not available in other spaces.
Gosh, well, that makes it sound, certainly makes me very aware of how precious it is to be here. So it does make me question about when we are the separation that I know many of us, and certainly myself, feel about what happens when we die and we're not here. And given that it's such a glorious place to be on Earth, how would you encourage us in getting to grips with that?
Are you asking about getting to grips with death?
Yes.
Death seems very final to Earth beings, because the vessel, for less romantic terms, the meat suit in which you find yourself in ceases to exist, and therefore the majority of people here who value matter as their most prized frequency, the lowest frequency, if you like, as the one that we can connect to, that when you experience death of others, it is very sad and there is a lot of grief and you feel that loss. And in fact, grief is part of the human journey, and it is not something that many of the other dimensions do experience. And should you allow yourself to be in grief and truly allow for the depth of the feeling to come in and come through, you may even see the beauty that arises in grief. And so for many humans, and again, for those who are listening, it seems to be that it is more the fear of death of others, of loss of others, of loss of those people that we love, that we tend to fear more than the death of self. Now, the death of self, in fact, is quite healthy, because it encourages you to stay on Earth, because the fact is that life is very precious and life is very fragile, and there are many opportunities for people to leave this Earth should that time be right for them. Yet from spirit, from the viewpoint of your soul never dies, and the release of your human body is in fact a beautiful and very freeing moment when you come back to what you have known yourself to be, with all of the lessons and the experiences and the understandings that you have gained, and the connections and the love that you in fact bring with you after you pass, the love from others, the people that you have touched on Earth, the relationships and the connections that you have had, even in those very fleeting moments when you meet somebody for a day or a week or a month, or 5 years, or even for your whole lifetime. It is those connections that if you like, build your soul. And as you come back, you bring all of that with you. And it is beautiful. It is the people that you leave behind on Earth that then feel the loss of that love that makes death so potent and pertinent. We tell you that death is not scary, that death is, you could understand, like going into a beautiful dream, one of those dreams that you often have, or you sometimes have, that you do not want to wake up from. death can be like this. And should you think of that for your family members, for people whom you love, then perhaps it can help ease the grief. But we encourage you, should you feel that and have the experience of loss, that you allow for that. In fact, grief is a big evolution path for you. This is something that as humans, when you go through, it certainly increases the, if you like, the depth of your soul. And for you, we are glad that many of you not fear death, but many of you do not wish to go down that route, because like we said, life on earth is so important and you are meant to be here. Yet when the time is ready for you to come back and for you to return, so the circumstances shall be that this will be an easy path for you.
Can you say a little bit more about what the return will be like?
The return will be as you experience it on earth. You could imagine it being like a like going into a beautiful sleep, or going into a altered state of mind where all pain and all heaviness and all resistance disappears, and you will find and remember very easily, for most of you, remember very easily the lightness of being that you are. In fact, many of you use the words in your meditations. Our host here certainly taps into that state during some of her meditations, and we know we provide you with the visual, the understanding, the download, so that you can begin to describe them with your words. And you find intellectually and conceptually, you find this state very peaceful. Now, humans do, well, soul do have this ability to create their own reality. And so what you experience, what you expect death to be, and the experience of death to be, will often be what you first experience through your transition. And so we do invite you to get comfortable, and this is why conversations like this can be so important, because you can know that there is nothing to fear. If somebody is very fearful of death and going to what humans have called hell, they may well experience something like that because their consciousness will direct them there. As we said in an earlier transmission, here there is very little separation between thought and reality. And so our thoughts will direct where we go as souls.
Right. So mind your thoughts. Is that what you mean?
When you pass, your thoughts do change because they are no longer governed by your brain and your physical circumstance, and the field in which you find yourself in fact lightens. However, in those moments, as your body is shutting down and your brain does these incredible things that it does to help your mind know that what is coming, there can be, and this is not true for everybody, it depends how deeply ingrained this belief is, there can be a circumstances where where your brain takes you to the place where you expected it to be. So do you mind your thoughts? Well, this can be something that you may want to contemplate. Humans do tend to avoid the thought of death. and for many, contemplating your last day on earth and how you may feel and how you may have experienced this lifetime and how you may feel when you then leave this earth can be a very beautiful and life-affirming and useful journey.
That's beautiful. So what is the most urgent task for us in healing the world?
The most urgent task in healing the world is to begin with self. Humans forget how powerful they are. Humans forget how much influence that they have on themselves and on each other and on the planet. And we do hear some humans say that Earth would do so much better without human, and that humans are destroying the Earth. And yes, that is true in many ways. However, the relationship of Earth and the reason for Earth being as it is as a dimension is because of the human evolution and the human growth and this earth school that you have all chosen to be down. So all is as it is. Your purpose is to bring what we would call heaven on earth, for you to understand that heaven, the possibility of those things that you love, those things that bring you joy, those things that make you feel on top of the world. As you bring more of that, your light will shine even brighter. And as your light shines even brighter, you will impact those around you, who will then impact those around them, who will then impact those around them. And so your duty is to find your center and to find your peace and to find your knowing and to find your unique purpose in the world. To understand that, yes, you are spirit, and that, yes, you are soul, and that, yes, you did choose to be here. And yes, you did choose the circumstances in which you find yourself in. And that, yes, you also have choice to move and grow and change. And you do this for the love of you as a human and for the love of the planet. This may feel like this is selfish, yet this is part of the reason for separation, this separation illusion that you humans understand and experience is because part of this coming back to unity is knowing itself as its own being, its own wholeness. And so you look within, you keep on looking within, you heal within, you find that peace within, you keep coming back through to self-actualization. And when more and more and more people are doing this, and believe it or not, there are more and more and more people doing this right now on this earth, despite what you see through your news outlets, there are many, many, many of you throughout the globe who are already doing this. It is changing the very frequency on earth, which is allowing for more communication such as this one, which is allowing for more altruism, which is allowing for more compassion, which is allowing for more evolution, which is allowing for more love, which is allowing for more kindness, which is allowing for more peace to be here on earth. And so you do this, you in your words, you mind your thoughts. The step before this is you know your thoughts, you understand your thoughts, and then you choose, is this a thought, is this an emotion, is this an action that I truly want to take? Does this fulfill my mission? Does this bring me back more into wholeness or not? And if the answer is or not, then you find the way, you go through your healing, you go through your self inquiry, and you discover the way forward. This is not because you need to be perfect. because as we alluded to earlier, part of this journey is the growth. You were never meant to come down here and be the fully actualized being. Otherwise, there would be no point in you being here, and you would be using your skills and your energy in other dimensions where we do not need to grow in the same way that humans do. And so we come here and we be the best versions of ourselves. And that is the best way to heal the planet. And I hear from Mother Earth, look after me. Know that I am here. Know that I am your home. Remember that you have chosen me, as Mother Earth says. Remember you have chosen me, because when you realize that you have chosen me, you will naturally look after me. She is your great mother, and you look after her like the life bringer and the nurturing, caring, unconditional love that she is. And so a simple honoring of her beauty, a simple honoring and gratitude for the food and for the warmth and for the comfort and for the challenges, indeed, that she brings you, will go a long way.
Amazing. So I love that. Remember, you have chosen me. So you spoke then about the illusion and the impediment, the illusion of separation, and that the reality is that there is unity. You also spoke about wholeness, and I want to know more about, I want to understand that better, what you mean by the illusion of separation.
You could liken it to the ocean. You could look at the ocean and you could see that it is one body of water. Yet you take out a cup and now you have a cup that is separate from the water. You take out a thimble from this cup and now you have a thimble that is separate from the cup that is separate from the water. You take out a mere drop from this thimble and now you have a drop which is separate from the thimble, which is separate from the cup, which is separate from the ocean. And this is true for humanity. This is how we see humans, as one body on earth. And so we understand that the enlightenment of one increases the enlightenment of all, because nothing is separate. And from a human point of view, there is separation. There is a physical body that is separating you from other. And this is important as part of your growth. This is important as part of this self-actualization. This is important that, if you like, this body of water, which has all of these cups and these thimbles and drops, that each one has its own job to be cleaned. And so it cleans itself. And should one cup go back into this body of water and it has an orange color, it will slightly taint the whole body of water into orange. And if one has blue, it will then slightly taint the water into blue. And so it is important for each of you as humans to understand your place and your separation, because this is what contributes to the whole body of everything. And you asked about purpose, and this is the ultimate purpose, that the ultimate connection of souls, so if you like, the ultimate body of water of which you have all come from and which you will all return to, will eventually come into a different frequency, but you all come together. There is not one comes and the others are left behind. You all come together. You are all in it together. We are all in it together. And so an enlightenment for one, as a result of the separation of another or the downfall of another is no help to anyone really, because you are simply prolonging the process of the water. It is as if you are creating your water to be bright and white and clean, and yet the other you are turning into a muddy mess, and then you are pouring that back into the pool. And so this unity is all. And this comes back to self and the betterment, for want of a better word, the betterment of self, the cleanliness of self, the godliness of self, and for all, for you recognize that we are all journeying this together. Does this answer the question?
It does answer the question, and it raises another question, given that we're trying to, by moving the dial on our own lives, influence the whole. There still remains the function of negativity or darkness or whatever you want to call it as an opposing force that enables us to grow. So is there ever a point at which that darkness ceases to exist, or will it always have its function?
Darkness in earth has its function, and you could liken it to the ocean, and you could liken it to the oil and water. That the oil is the darkness and the water is the light, and that's when it is all mixed together, it kind of creates this murky mess, and then eventually it comes into separation. Now, darkness is the absence of light. The darkness is the absence of light, and so it has its function in that it helps us remember who we are. It helps us understand, how can we know we are light if there is no dark? And so it helps us understand that we are water and this is oil. Yet we also understand that we also contain some of this oil in our cup, and that it is our job to understand and to really it is to integrate. But in terms of this analogy, we'll say to separate, to become the light, to bring your consciousness into the light. And the darkness helps us understand all of the things that we are not. This is part of our journey. Now, it's important to say that some of the darkness that you see in this world that we could condemn as bad or wrong or evil, in fact comes from a soul who has a strong mission, because all are souls and all come from the light, and some have had to take this soul mission and use it to help others discover what they are not. So darkness certainly has a purpose here on earth, and your job as humans is to understand that this is not you, and to become more water than oil. It is very easy because the oil is heavy and it is dense and it is compelling in many ways, and it is just like you humans might go on a roller coaster in order to feel this adrenaline and to have that thrill. The darkness can feel like a thrill because it is something so separate to what you are. And so part of this journey of human, of Earth School, is to resist the lure into darkness and understand it to simply be, and once again focus on all of who you are.
Will it ever not be?
This is not to dismiss the darkness. We all have darkness, even other beings. There is darkness inside, but your true nature is light. Your true nature is light, and darkness is what you are not. And in human form, it is about this integration, because as I said, darkness is the absence of light, and when you bring light into the darkness, darkness is no more.
So will there ever be a time when there is no darkness?
This is what we are moving towards as souls. As this body of water is becoming more bright, which it is, we assure you that despite what you see in the world, this body of water from our perspective is certainly becoming more light and bright, and the darkness is separating. And as a soul mission, for the human soul mission, there is some time in human form, there is some time to go, because there is so much learning and growth and richness in the human experience, that it is unlikely in your lifetimes that darkness will disappear. However, for many of you, darkness will play less of a role as you continue to move and work on self and come into the wholeness and the unity of who you truly are.
That's beautiful. It feels like that's a good place to wind things up, but I do want to ask our audience whether they have any pressing questions for you. I haven't seen anything come up in the chat, but if anybody has anything, please.
It always feels incredible to us that, especially again, the humans that are watching this broadcast often have many questions and they wish to understand the greater workings of the universe. Yet it can be so big and broad that when the opportunity comes, there is an amnesia or a forgetfulness. It also is sometimes the case that the answer is meant to be sought for self, and so you can save these questions because this channel, our host, is no different to you or you or you, and that you all have this ability to be able to do this should you choose to do so.
That's great. That's great. So I think really what I feel we've gotten from you today, Spirit, I didn't ask you your name, so I'm going to call you Spirit, is a sense of hope, really, a sense of mission and hope, which is really great. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any more questions. Are there, I guess I do want to, I have one question.
Please.
Is there any specific impediment that we need to be aware of at this point in time that through bringing to light that impediment can help us move forward? Is that individual or is there a collective impediment?
We all come down with our own set of challenges and restrictions. And for each of us, it comes back to this understanding that as we know ourselves more, we will know what we wish to move through. And for each human, there will be a different trigger, if you like. There will be different restrictions that come into play, and opportunities and invitations to move into those distractions. And so the most useful piece of advice that we can give you now is to be mindful of who you are and where you are spending your energy, because your energy is your most useful commodity. And so we invite you each day to energy scan or take a energy top up to understand who you are, to feel what feels good. Am I feeling good in this situation? And does this make me feel better or worse? And we are not talking about the sugar rush or the dopamine hits. This is that true self of, as our host just did and spent some time in with the trees, and it settles her down. It is understanding this space and honoring that this sense of peace and this sense of stillness and this sense of centeredness is important for many of you that are doing this work. The human chemistry is very powerful, and so it was meant to be. This is again part of this earth school and this human school in which you are in. And the human body and the pursuit of pleasure can be very fun and also very distracting aspect. And so we encourage you to discover pleasure and to find those things and to use your senses and to enjoy your time here on earth. This is very much part of the beauty of being an earthling, but understand what is true pleasure and what is distracting you from the real job and the real pleasure of stillness and enlightenment and touching that truth of who you are. And so we invite you to have fun, and we invite you to remember that your energy is your most valuable commodity. If you remind yourself of that every single day, you will find yourself on this way to the feelings that you are craving, because your feelings or your emotions more so are your messengers, which help you understand where you are going and what you are moving to, much like a snail with its senses. You can get very good at this. And so this is our invitation to you. Get good at knowing where your energy is moving from and moving to, and what you are receiving and what you are giving. And this will be the key to all humans. As I go back to your first question, creating this more rapid evolution growth.
Thank you so much. And I know that you already know everyone's thanking you, but I'm going to just say thank you again anyway. And very inspiring and encouraging, and also some great signposts. So thank you. Thank you so much. So when Melissa's ready to be with us,
we thank you for this opportunity and for this time and for this space and for the openness to listen and to allow for this to happen, and to our host for being this open channel here today. And we remind you that you can come back and listen to this, because this will mean something different, and you will receive the frequencies that we have been gifting you during this channel, that you will hear and experience not just through your ears, but through your cells and through your receptors. And so we offer you that with gratitude and with peace and with love. And until next time, we wish you all the blessings from the universe, and let you know that we are watching you and that we are guiding you and that we are here whenever you need us. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you.
thank you.
Hello.
Alexandria, I'm sorry I missed your last question, but we were already heading into the close there. But thank you. I don't know if you want to answer it, Melissa. Alexandria has asked, thank you for this, but how to start to understand our human emotions, learn more about emotions, and how to be emotionally mature, developed. Is this again gained by the human experience or journey? And are there any tools you would recommend?
Yes, let me Alexandria, if you're in the challenge group, I'll record a little YouTube or something on that question, because that's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But my human brain's not answering anything right now. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you learn anything from that little
A lot of
channel?
some of it was really, it was about reminders for me. So you know, the thing about in the pauses and the gaps is really huge for me, because on a personal level, that's an area where I really struggle. I'm a very action focused, very busy mind, and so that reconnection, and the encouragement to connect every morning, and to really watch where we're directing our energy, that all of that is, it's not new, but to be able to be reminded of that and to remember that is super important. The other thing I absolutely loved was Mother Earth saying, remember, you have chosen me. That was like, boom.
You know, Mother Earth is one of my favorite energies to connect to and channel, and she's so there and so present. And in the conscious channel course that I'm running, we're going to be doing some Mother Earth connection, particularly with, you know, like some people really drawn to the trees, some people really drawn to the bodies of water, some people really drawn to the crystals. And we're made from the stars, but also we're made from everything in earth. And so actually it's a really simple, it's all a simple connection, but it's a really resonant connection. And just as I said that, so I'm looking at, I have a garden space, a studio, and there's a window open, and there's this bright red rose that's just like, just there in my eye line. And it just looks like it's nodding at me because, you know, that
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
they, for me, these energies want to be connected to, and it is just a case of, are we open to it? And, you know, even doing what we just did, you know, before we hit record, and those of you who were on the call last night, I was like, this is nuts. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to come through. What if nothing happens? What if we go? Because we have that, because we're human and it's not part of our normal everyday experience. But the more we do this and the more we bring our trust into it, we realize that they are here, and we just need to open to it and practice at it and get used to that energy frequency.
You did a great demonstration of that. And with respect to the rose nodding at you, one of the things I personally love trees, and one of the things someone said to me a couple of years ago was that every single tree is an individual, and when you acknowledge them as individuals rather than this is a bunch of trees,
Yeah.
that they really feel that, and they really love that. And I
Yeah,
thought that was super cool.
I
I'm
love.
definitely a tree girl.
Well, you can go channel a tree tomorrow and see how that feels.
I do that actually. I asked the trees for messages, but I
Amazing.
wasn't aware that it was channeling. So for people who are listening, that's a really good reminder actually, that that is channeling. I actually got my partner to do it, who's a great skeptic, and I said, "Look, just put your hand on the tree and see what it's telling you." And he got a message.
Wow.
Okay, you
You
know?
see, even the skeptics, because it's there, because this is part of our nature. This is, and we're being called to do it. And sometimes it, you know, we can doubt what we're doing, or we can think, oh, what is it that's going on? Or you might have been watching this thinking, oh, she's making it all up, or whatever it is. And that's fine. But this is us really finding that, connecting back with our spirit, and knowing that there isn't really a separateness between us and who we are. And sometimes it's when a cynic does it that we're like, okay, maybe it's not just me. Like, and I shared this yesterday. I was super cynical about these things before I got started.
Yeah. And I guess the other point is that there's a great feeling of reassurance in being still enough to receive that information.
Yeah, for sure. It's a practice, and it has to be a practice. And whilst this is really simple, and this is another reason why I've put the conscious channel course together, is that there's so much that we can learn about good practice, about preparing the body, about, you know, different techniques and, you know, all of these things. But it is the commitment to doing this, and it is the putting this as important, and it is the like, well, I'm going to be like, this is something that I value. Because like I said, for me, this changed my life. And maybe there was something that was said for anyone that was listening in one point of that channel, however long we were connected for, that made you have a realization or an aha moment. And sometimes it's just that. Sometimes it's like, it's one thing that we say. Now imagine that we do that for our business, or imagine that we do that for our relationship, right? Imagine that we're in an argument, you know, Cori, as a relationship coach, like imagine we could come out of our perspective and look at things from these different points of view, and rather than, oh, he said, she said, of like, okay, what's the truth of the situation?
Yeah.
It can influence us in all of these different areas of our life. But I will challenge anyone watching and say, you know, if you're in this industry, you are a coach, you are a therapist, you are a healer, you are a intuitive guide, you are a card reader, you are a crystal healer, you are a Reiki healer, or quantum healer, or any of these things, like if you can stand up and hit record and go live on your Facebook and just not know what questions are coming, right, and just just allow for this to come through, imagine what this will do to your practice, imagine what this will do to your client base, imagine what this will do to the transformation that your clients receive, and therefore your reputation, and how you can build your business, and how much you can trust yourself, and how much you can do the work. Like, it all compounds. And so if you're in this realm, field, this is such a key skill, and it's something quite simple, and it's a practice that needs to be practiced. Otherwise it's just going to go under the breath work and the meditation and the tree forest bathing and the going for a walk and the yoga practice and all of the other things that we do. So I'm inviting everyone to join me for 12 weeks for 6 modules. We'll have practice groups. If you're in Soul Space, we'll have some other bonus opportunities as well, to really ground this in, and then it becomes a skill for life.
Fabulous.
Fabulous.
Exciting. It's
I
exciting. I do have a
card.
question.
Yeah, go on. Go on.
When you're channeling, you are the voice that's coming through is spirit, but you're also hearing the answers that are given.
Yeah, I could hear most of it. I don't remember most of it. I have no idea. Well, I do know how long we're on because it tells me on the recording. We're an hour, goodness me.
Yeah.
So I have no concept of time in there. I don't know what's going to come through until the words come out.
But you don't remember it. So when you go back and watch this, you'll be interested to hear what spirit had to say.
I remember bits. I was there. I could hear what was happening. Like when you said to me, when you said about Mother Earth, I was like, oh yeah, I said that, or that was said through me. So I was there. And, you know, like for me, when I'm doing this, there is still a conscious filter, because this is all part of it, right? There's a whole ethical, you know, sovereign thing going on here. And I think that's part of the difference between channelers now and where we were. Like, we have to take responsibility that this is coming through my human, this is coming through my Facebook and my YouTube, or wherever you're watching this. And so I have a responsibility. So it still comes through the human filter. Like, if there was something that was completely that my human didn't agree with, I have enough consciousness to be able to.
So you're a gatekeeper.
I'm a gatekeeper is quite a good word. It's a filter. It's coming through my filter. And I think part of that is that the guides that I channel are resonant with me, right? Because like attracts like. So there's an energetic match between who I am and what I'm channeling. Like I wouldn't connect with a guide who has a complete opposing view of the world to me, who's like, yeah, let's go and riot and let's go, like that just wouldn't be in my field, because there's not that energetic connection, like the resonance. So that's one thing. But yes, I am present, and I have a sense of what we spoke about. And if you said, oh, you said this, it would remind me. Like I'm thinking back, and there's like little,
Glimpses.
like, I don't know how to describe it, because the words come out most of the time. The words are coming out before I really know what I'm saying, even though there's a filter. It's almost in real time. Like I think it was quite quick. The answers seemed to come through quite quickly. There wasn't big gaps between you asking a question and then, yeah. But
There
sometimes,
was no gap. There was
okay,
no gap.
sometimes it comes through in like, so that's like a stream, and I'm seeing the stream, or I'm not seeing it, I'm feeling the stream as it's coming out and coming through. Sometimes there'll be so like with the ocean, yeah, when the ocean, I saw that, I could see the ocean, and I wonder if a slightly different guide came through at that point, but I could see the ocean, and I could see, like in with my internal vision, them take a cup out, and then I could see the thimble, and I saw that with my, which maybe why I remember it, I saw that with my eyes, and so then I was trying to find the words to describe what it was that I was seeing
Right.
for
Right.
that
I know
portion.
exactly what you mean. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. So you saw the vision and then you had to articulate it.
yeah.
Words.
Yeah, and like I could see the oil, I could see it. And so okay, so so I think that was a different guide that came through at that point, and I certainly was receiving it differently, and I remember it, and maybe it was big towards the end. So they started to talk about the oil and the water and this separation, and I was hearing what they were saying about there isn't, I can't remember the exact words, but that there's like, we're going to basically separate from the darkness, and then it's going to be left behind. And I was like, and I could hear that, and there's part of me that's like, I'm not quite sure that's my view of the world.
And I don't think that's what you expressed actually
Okay.
either. You did say
Okay.
something about, or Spirit said something about the fact of that there was a place for integration. I'm not expressing it as
Yeah.
eloquently as Spirit did, but that was basically it.
And that was me. I kind of asked my brain, me, I kind of was like, but what about this? Like, because there was how I how I was seeing it and articulate, or how I was seeing it, and then it was being articulated. What I was thinking of, but hold on a minute, I've spent however long trying to integrate my shadow rather than separate from it. So how
Yes.
does that fit in?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and we were speaking about this in my Akashic record training recently. And so I asked that, and then they showed me something, then that was answered. So I didn't say that out loud, but I was aware enough that I'm like, hold on a minute, but what about this? And that was answered through me, and I suppose it just came out as one big
So you
long,
can have an argument with Spirit.
it wasn't an argument, it was more of a, can you please clarify?
A,
I'm not
dis-
sure.
a, dis, a, dis, a different way of looking at it, a different way of expressing it. Let's just put it that way.
It was a curiosity. It was like, I'm not disagree. It's just like, okay, but what about this as well? And I'm guessing that was answered satisfactorily.
So
But
it's
yeah,
an and rather than an either.
exactly.
Mhm.
And it's also, it was interesting for me. It was like there was I don't know how to explain this, but it was like there was a connection with everybody who is listening or has listened, and it's like the message was directed for them, not the 8 billion people on the planet.
Yes.
And so there just seemed to be like there could have been 2 or 3 different ways of answering a question, and it
Yeah.
it was the stuff that was relevant for, I suppose, the level of consciousness, the possibility for the people that will have access to this or found it or were guided to it or whatever it is.
Right.
um because
Because the initial question was about the function of darkness, the function of negativity, the function of what people describe as evil, and that's how the question came up.
Mhm.
And is it ever going to be gone?
One day, let's hope, when we're all evolved and enlightened.
Maybe. But
But
then
it's
who would there be to serve?
right, it's like we're judging darkness as bad, and maybe it just is.
There you go.
Mm.
I'm sure we could go on like this forever, but you must be exhausted.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and drink. I had some cacao before. So how did I prepare for this? Well, I went out in the woods, had some cacao. I drank loads of water. I did some breath work. I used some of my sprays, and I've lit a candle, and I've got my incense, and just created that safe space. I pulled a couple of cards, which were Serapis Bay, a paradigm shift, and Lady Venus, light activation. So they were the 2 cards, they were the 2 energies that were here with me, and they are both actually about growing, about growth, about openness, about activating ourselves. It's funny, like Lady Venus says light activation, Serapis Bay paradigm shift says activation in the cards. And then I just pulled a card at the end, and I love this. So we had Babaji come in, and it says on his spiritual awakening, the interconnectedness and understanding the inner workings. And I hope that this channel helped you understand some of the inner workings of us as humans and the universe. So thank you for everyone for listening. Thank you, Cori, for the beautiful questions and the way that you held that space. And if you love this, let me know. Maybe we'll do it again.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
And I'm going to just reassure the people in the group that you will get to their questions, any that weren't answered in the course of this call, that you will get to their questions, because I can see Alexandria, who has a beautiful inquiring mind, has asked another question. So
Okay.
do that later.
I will. I'm just going to take myself off screen, and then I'll have a little look a little bit later. So thank you, everybody. Please share if this resonates. Let me know in your comments. And of course, you can go in the Telegram chat and let us know how you felt. And thank you once again, Cori, for holding this space.
You're welcome.